The Red Sea, one of the world's most important trade routes, is now turning into a dangerous flashpoint. In recent weeks, a surge in attacks by Yemen's Houthi rebels has thrown the region into turmoil, threatening the flow of vital goods, disrupting global shipping lanes, and pushing major powers toward confrontation. But behind the headlines lies a deeper story, one involving proxy wars, geopolitical maneuvering, and the high-stakes game of controlling the arteries of global commerce. Welcome to GeoFrontline. Today, we're diving deep into why the Red Sea is suddenly making world leaders nervous, how Houthi attacks are reshaping maritime security, and what the US and its allies are doing to prevent this crisis from spiraling out of control. Stay with me until the end, because this is not just a regional conflict. This is about the future of global trade itself. The Red Sea is not just a strip of water, it's a lifeline, stretching from the Suez Canal in the north to the Bab el-Mandeb Strait in the south. It carries roughly 12% of the world's trade. Every year, thousands of ships pass through, transporting oil, gas, electronics, food, and manufactured goods between Europe, Asia, and Africa. Any disruption here sends shockwaves across the global economy. And right now, disruption is exactly what we're seeing. The Houthis, an Iran-backed militant group controlling much of northern Yemen, have stepped up attacks against international shipping, using drones, anti-ship missiles, and even explosive-laden boats. They've targeted commercial vessels, some flagged under US allies, claiming their actions are a response to the war in Gaza and Western involvement in the Middle East. But here's the truth. This isn't just about retaliation, it's about leverage. The Houthis understand that by choking one of the world's busiest trade arteries, they can gain political influence far beyond their borders. Over the past month, several tankers and cargo ships have been hit or forced to reroute, with insurance rates for shipping through the Red Sea skyrocketing. Some of the world's largest shipping companies, including Maersk and MSC, have already diverted vessels around the Cape of Good Hope, a much longer and more expensive journey. This has led to delays, increased costs for goods, and new fears of inflation spikes in countries still struggling from the aftermath of the pandemic. But this isn't just an economic story. It's a strategic one. The Red Sea is a chessboard, and every player knows that whoever controls these waters holds a powerful card in global politics. For Iran, supporting the Houthis extends its reach into a region that directly affects Western economies. For the United States and its allies, securing this waterway is a matter of national security. In response, the US Navy has increased its presence, deploying guided missile destroyers and surveillance aircraft to the region. Operation Prosperity Guardian, a coalition of allied navies, is now patrolling the Red Sea, intercepting threats and escorting merchant ships. Just last week, US forces shot down several Houthi-launched drones before they could hit their targets. While these defensive measures have so far kept casualties low, sheer frequency of attacks is testing the limits of naval resources. Here's where it gets even more dangerous: the risk of miscalculation. If a US or allied warship were to suffer significant damage, the retaliation would be swift and overwhelming, potentially escalating into a larger conflict involving Iran directly. And Iran, in turn, could activate other proxy groups in the region, spreading instability from the Red Sea to the Persian Gulf. Meanwhile, regional powers like Saudi Arabia and Egypt are watching closely. Saudi Arabia, despite its ongoing peace talks with the Houthis, is under pressure to take a harder stance. Egypt, whose economy relies heavily on Suez Canal revenues, knows that prolonged disruption could be disastrous. Every nation with a stake in Red Sea stability is now weighing its options, and the wrong move could light the fuse of a regional war. From a military standpoint, the Red Sea crisis highlights a shift in modern naval warfare. We're seeing smaller, asymmetric forces, armed with relatively cheap drones and missiles, challenge some of the most advanced navies in the world. This is a nightmare scenario for global shipping companies and military planners alike. Unlike traditional wars, where battles are fought on predictable fronts, here the threat can come from a hidden coastal launch site, a disguised fishing boat, or a remote-controlled drone skimming just above the waterline. But let's not overlook the economic domino effect. Oil prices have already begun climbing due to fears of supply disruptions. If the Red Sea becomes too dangerous for oil tankers, the world could face yet another energy crisis, with ripple effects from gas stations in the US to factories in Asia. And remember, we're heading into a time when global inflation is already a concern. Adding another price shock could push some economies to the brink. Now, what does all of this mean for the United States? Strategically, Washington can't afford to let the Red Sea fall under the control or influence of an Iran-backed militia. The U.S. has long positioned itself as the guardian of global trade routes, from the Strait of Hormuz to the South China Sea. Allowing unchecked Houthi aggression would not only embolden Iran, but also send a dangerous message to other hostile actors around the world. This is why the Biden administration, working closely with allies like the UK, France, and regional partners, is balancing two priorities: protecting global shipping without getting dragged into another full-scale Middle Eastern conflict. That's a delicate balance to strike. And as history shows, once major powers start exchanging fire in a contested maritime zone, escalation can happen fast. Looking ahead, there are three possible scenarios. First, increased naval patrols and diplomatic pressure could deter the Houthis, leading to a gradual de-escalation. Second, the situation could stagnate, with sporadic attacks keeping shipping costs high and tensions simmering. And third, the most dangerous option, the conflict could spiral, pulling in regional powers and even leading to a direct US-Iran confrontation. Which path will it take? That depends on how much risk the US and its allies are willing to accept, and how far the Houthis, and by extension Iran, are willing to push. One thing is certain: the Red Sea is no longer just a shipping lane. It's a front line in the battle for control over global trade, and the outcome will shape the balance of power for years to come. So, as the world watches this maritime flashpoint, the stakes couldn't be higher. In this high-stakes game of strategy, the US and its allies are determined not to blink first, because in the Red Sea, control isn't just about ships and oil. It's about who holds the keys to the world's economic heartbeat.